god, this is too. Skirt.
It's time to talk a lot. I have some thoughts. It's gonna be long. It's strictly Sam. Yeah.
What's up, you guys? My name is Sam. Welcome back to my channel. I am female to male, transgender, 4 years in testosterone and 3 years post-op top surgery. And it is, crack of asshole, it is 4 a.m. I have not gone to sleep. However, I did just watch the follow-up videos of Trisha Paytas's coming out as female to male transgender. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link the video down below and my reaction video. Essentially what happened was Trisha Paytas came out as female to male transgender, and it caused a lot of ruckus within the LGBTQ plus community and the world, because a lot of terms were just being kind of seemingly carelessly thrown around, and people got very angry. A lot of people got very rude. It started becoming a huge thing, and I just wanted to talk about some stuff to do with the follow-up videos of, I think it was an apology video and one, I think, titled Questioning. This is going to be like the first video of a segment I have called Strictly Sam, and I hope you guys liked the intro, because I found it hilarious. My editor, Courtney, my best friend, made it and made me crack up, so I hope you guys like this. But it's just going to be kind of a version of me just being able to speak unedited and just give thoughts whenever, like, you know, 4 a.m. hits and I'm like, I need to make a video. My eyes are bleeding, and this is like my opportunity where I'm just gonna throw it up whenever it happens, unedited, and you'll see more of the real me, I guess. I say and I have sentences all over the place and whatever. I cuss. Surprise. But I just have some thoughts after seeing a lot of comments on this whole situation and a lot of the reaction videos from the trans community and trans guys themselves. So to start off, I think what's been hitting me the most after doing, you know, watching a lot of this stuff and reading a lot of comments is the trans community's hate itself. I watched a lot of reaction videos from trans guys, and I was just curious to see how people would handle it, and you know, different things that they would say versus what I said, and you know, all this stuff. It's just interesting to me, and so I watched a lot of them, and I was like actually pretty horrified from a lot of them. They all make good points. We all make the same point, but in different ways, and that's the problem I have. Being mean is just never good. It's not going to get anyone anywhere. And so I obviously, like, before I start this, like, obviously I understand the transgender point of view because I am transgender and I made a whole video on it. And it's like, why obviously the video was not the most productive thing and did a lot of damage and blah, blah, blah. Like, I get that. Go watch my video if you don't believe me. But I do think life is about looking at things from all different perspectives, and that's really important, and that's what I'm trying to do even with this. And so watching these trans guys' reaction videos, a lot of them were just saying like, well, are you stupid? Like, we don't want you. You're not a part of our community. It was like this very rude, exclusive bully behavior that, and again, like, I understand where the feelings are coming from, but to make a whole video on it, edit it, and then post it is mind-boggling to me, because never in a million years would I have said to Trish, I'm going to say Trish and they, them pronouns, because I'm still, after watching everything, a little confused at what they want to be referred to as, and I think they are too after watching the questioning video, but that's I'm trying to be respectful, so that's what I'm going to say. But never in a million years would I have said, after watching even just that first one, before watching, if I hadn't seen the apology or the questioning video, I would never, ever have gone up to them and been like, you're not transgender. Like, fuck off. We don't want you. You know how rude that is? That is so rude. So rude. Imagine saying that about, like, someone's career or something completely unrelated to, like, sexuality or gender. You would never say that because it's fucking rude. and so mean. And I kept thinking through this whole entire process, like, all right, yes, obviously, okay, we know that they have trolled in the past and like done some weird stuff with LGBT. Like, I get the whole history, but I kept thinking, like, what if this happens to be their truth? Whether it was articulated the way they maybe should have or wanted to, but like, what if they really are transgender? I would be absolutely horrified to have been part of a group of people, especially the group of people that they are identifying as and that's supposedly supposed to be so inclusive, to be so exclusive and rude and be a part of like what makes them internalize and like hate themselves and walk away from a community that's supposed to be so open-armed. Like, I would hate to be that. So I kept thinking, all right, I don't know, because none of us know. You don't know what they have been through, how they are feeling. It doesn't matter what you know of their past videos or whatever. Like, you can't tell someone how they're feeling. So that was not my issue with the video. It wasn't saying like, you're not transgender, you're being a bitch. Like, I was not saying that, and I still am not saying that. My problem with the video was like, it just kind of, it seemed like so like carelessly throwing around terms, which just further confuses an already confused society on a very, what should be very simple and clear community, to a very large audience. So it felt more like I was bummed at like such a missed opportunity, and in that missed opportunity, it kind of spun it the wrong direction, into something unproductive, and kind of derailed the situation. And so that was what I was like upset over, not that they were identifying as a certain way, because like, who am I to say that? You cannot look at someone, they're like, I'm bisexual, and be like, no, you're not, you're straight. It's like, how the fuck do you know? And another point I wanted to bring up was, I was just in a panel, which was super cool. I'm like super honored to have been asked to be a part of it. But something I learned in this panel was, it was another one of my fellow speakers. I was a speaker, and they were one of the speakers as well. And it was like a support group for parents of LGBTQ plus kids, and we're kind of gender focused. And one of the speakers was like, I was transgender when I was in middle school, and now I identify as non-binary, but that doesn't mean that when I was transgender in middle school that was invalid. That was still very valid, and is still very valid, because that was my identity then. And I think something that people need to take away from, especially trans people, is like, just because you're transgender does not mean you know what all transgender people feel. There's a huge wide array of transgender people, and we have lots to learn as well. Don't put yourself up on some pedestal because you've gone through some shit. Like, everyone's gone through some shit. We all have more shit to learn. I've definitely gone through shit, but I haven't gone through a lot of stuff that other people have gone through, and same vice versa. Like, we all have growing to do, and all have growing to do within our own community. Just because you're transgender doesn't mean you know everything. Like, I still struggle with some people's like non-binary pronouns. I'll admit, like, I have a hard time saying they, them. It makes me think, but like, I'm trying, and I'm actively trying to educate myself, and I think that is what's important. You guys need to, like, trans people especially, like, you need to learn how to still be open, and I think a lot of the anger at this whole situation was like, trans people, we've gone through a lot of shit, and it's hard. You lose family, you lose friends. It's like, it's not something to joke about. People are being killed over it. It's like, it's not something to joke about. But I think that was like a lot of what the anger was like, you don't know what we've been through. You're not transgender. You have long hair and you have nails and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, for sure. Like, that is where some of my anger was feeling. Like, I'm not meaning to paint myself as like some holier than thou, like, perfect trans person that's willing to learn and love. But I am willing to learn and love. That part is true. I'm not perfect, and I still had a reaction, but I think the difference is I didn't just react and attack. I think more people, it would be more effective if you remember to look at the big picture of what the goal is, and that is for our community to be just like normalized and respected and loved. And remember that as you are reacting and putting something like on the internet where other people are going to see it and you have just as much influence, like what influence are you going to want to put out? One that's like educating, helping, and loving, or just entertaining and being a dick? Like, look at your options and look at your opportunities. Like, you saw how this Trish video was a missed opportunity. Well, make this your perfect opportunity that you saw and you took advantage of and you went with it. Like, that's what that should have been. And all these reaction videos just kind of like made me sad, because it shouldn't have been so much attacking. It should have been a lot of educating. And I'm not meaning like this is what transgender is, because like not everyone wants to make those types of videos, but coming at it from like a sense of understanding and love, and like, yes, you can be irritated, but that doesn't mean you need to be a dick. Like, there's a difference between having a feeling and like then just acting on it and being a dick. Like, there's a difference. I was still angry and I was still irritated and confused, but I tried my hardest to not just be like, you're not transgender, you're being a bitch and this is derailing the whole situation. Like, that doesn't do anything. It was like, okay, yeah, you're angry. That's the main message we got out of that. Whoop-de-doo. Like, glad you got your feelings out on camera. Woo! No, like, what I was trying to do was like, yeah, I have these feelings and this is why, and this is how we don't do it next time. I think that's much more productive. I totally went on a tangent. What was I talking about? The panel. Let's jump back to that. But what I was noticing in that panel, essentially what I was meaning to say was, I was like, oh, I have more to learn here, because I didn't realize how true that is. Like, say I'm transgender right now, right? I identify as female to male transgender. I've had surgeries and hormones for like last 4 years, all that stuff, right? And say in 3 years, I'm like, I'm non-binary. That doesn't make this moment right now invalid. That doesn't mean like, oh, you weren't really transgender. Like, no, I was transgender at that moment. I think people forget, like, humans evolve, and that's what I was reminded of so kindly by this person that spoke, was like, oh, it's all an evolution. Like, we evolve into, like, our careers evolve, right? Our sexualities evolve, our identities evolve. Everything is in evolution as we live as humans. So, through your experiences and just learning about new things and maturing, it's like, that is what is gonna shift things and evolve with you. So just because in 3 years, if I were to identify as non-binary, that doesn't make right now invalid. The hard part that I understand from the other perspective is like, all right, but then that makes it seem like, this is how a lot of people would see it, like, that it's just a lot of, like, trans people are just going through phases, and it's like a big, like, lopsided, like, whenever going back and forth between identities and sexualities, and that's one, that's fine to do, but two, that's not what it is necessarily. It's just like, your truth in this moment, and if you're to evolve, that's great. I think labels, something I also learned at the panel, is labels were created so that people can maybe discover what things are. It's like, it's, what was the word that he used? Labels are a good facilitator. And I totally agree, because I'm like, I am with labels and against them, and I was a little bit conflicted, because I think labels are stupid. Personally, I think they're stupid, but I also think they're incredibly helpful and validating for people that are wanting to figure themselves out and find who they are and like be a part of something. And so I'm neither against or with them, and that's why I was conflicted. I was like, I don't know how to feel about this necessarily. And when he said they're just a great facilitator, I'm like, oh, that's like a perfect way to say that, because they just facilitate people in maybe discovering what they are, and then maybe once they find out who they are, they're like, oh, I don't really give a fuck about labels. I'm always evolving, blah, blah, blah. Later down the line, they choose a label. Like, who cares? Who cares, honestly? So, that's kind of my feelings on this whole situation. Like, I understand, obviously, the transgender point of view. I am transgender, once again. But I also think people really need to, like, work on looking at different perspectives. And I honestly can't believe people keep saying you're not trans, Trish. It's like, who the fuck are you to know? There's no way I could know what they have been through, how they feel. There's absolutely no way I could know. So there's the ways to say, like, okay, I'm assuming this is more of what sounds like. Maybe you're non-binary, maybe your sexuality's fluid. That's what it sounds like to me, but there's no way I could ever define something for them, because you don't like do that for anyone else for anything else. So that doesn't make sense. So anyway, people, like, just take a chill pill. Let's, like, remember that we all have growing to do. We all have learning to do. I don't know. It's 4:15 a.m. Excuse me, I'm exhausted. Again, my eyes are bleeding. I hope you guys like this segment. I'm just excited to have it to where I can just talk a bit more on just unedited, and you guys can get to know me and I guess how my brain works. But this is what happens at 4 a.m. when I catch up on my Trish entertainment. I don't know. I think they honestly made a lot of really, really, really freaking awesome, good points. And again, my only problem with the video that they posted initially was that the vocab was all over the place, and it was a missed opportunity to really educate. And now they're saying that they're questioning. That's great. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, why do we care? If you're confused about their identity, why are you caring? Like, yeah, I'm confused too. They're a little bit confused. Who cares? Like, it's not your life. It's what should be irritating you is the missed opportunity aspect, right? And then from there, you should be helping the situation rather than continue to derail it, rather than just being confused about their gender and their sexuality and like sending hate. And it's just like a whole bunch of stupid shit that I was so mind blown that that's how people were reacting to it. Anyways, trans people, let's calm down, and let's, that's also another point I had to say. I don't know what it's like to be a transgender person and not want to transition medically. Like, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know how that mentality would work. And I think all of the trans guys that I saw reacting to this video were all medically transitioned or about to. No, they all were medically transitioned. So I just think it's a little bit ignorant for us to say, like, you're not transgender, or like, you don't know what you're feeling and blah, we don't want you. It's like, man, I just, when Trish said that some people don't transition, I obviously already knew that, but looking at it in terms of, like, then they said, like, guys will dress up as girls and have wigs and nails and everything, and I was like, oh shit, like, there's a difference. And if you're identifying as a man that likes to be dressing up all the time, then, like, I'm just thinking of a cis man and they say they liked to wear girls' clothes and a wig and nails 24/7, but still identified as a man, like, that's still a man. So that could be their situation. I'm not saying it is, because I don't know them. I'm just saying that's like, look at it from that perspective, what they're saying. It's like, oh, okay, now I understand. It's like, just because I'm trans doesn't mean I know everything. And I'm trying to understand their perspective, and obviously they're like a little confused, as they said in their like latest video with this subject. So yeah, it's just like, it's so interesting to think of it that way. Yeah, I guess it's just like, I don't know what that would feel like at all, to not want to medically transition, because that has been the only thing on my mind for forever. And then it's happened, and that's like, that is my mentality, that is who I am, and that was my journey. So to think of transgender people to where they don't want to medically transition, it's like, your immediate thought is like, okay, well then you're not transgender if you're like comfortable in the body that you have. But it's like, that's not true. That's not necessarily true at all. So it's, learning about these different kinds of people within your own community. It's like, we have to be more open-minded in learning about stuff. And I'm not like siding with anyone, because there's nothing really to side on. It's like their identity and what they are. There's no sides for this. What I am against is the careless use of terms and being a little bit uneducated. Like, if you're gonna make, a video going to 5 million subscribers and 5 million people, I would really, really want them to educate themselves first before talking about it. And you're like totally free to talk about like confusion or whatever, your identity, but just like using the right terms. That was my only problem, is like using the wrong terms and missed opportunity to really like educate people. And that was my only thing. It's nothing to do with their identity. So I'm not taking sides, because there's nothing for anyone to take sides on. It's someone's identity. Like, you have no part, you have no say in that. So just let that go. What you can have an opinion on is how they're dealing with it. And so far, like, yeah, they fucked up a little bit, obviously, a lot of it. But it seems to me as if they are realizing it and very genuine about this specific situation. Not talking about their past trolling, but about this specific situation. They are, like, not wanting to cause harm. And I never felt that anyways in the beginning, like, watching the video. It just seemed to me like a bit of just ignorance, and I don't mean that necessarily negatively in like a mean way. I'm just meaning like, absence of knowledge. Just didn't know either their impact or what they were doing and who they were saying it to and all this stuff. But I never felt like they were coming at like the LGBTQ plus family community as with harm. And this whole community is supposed to be like inclusive. We are supposed to like open arms, be together, and that's what this community needs to represent, needs to be. So please, like, everyone within this community, can we work on that? Because that's really what this needs to be, rather than so exclusive and like bullying people out of it. Like, I will never be a part of that. That would be my last thing I would ever want to do for someone. So oh my god, it's late. Why am I still up? Anyways, that's my opinion. I hope you guys like this segment. It is obviously a lot longer, and my thoughts go all over the place, but that's how my brain works. I hope you found it helpful or entertaining or whatever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like this segment, if you don't, whatever, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. It's just really an unedited version of myself and a way for me to get out thoughts and feelings throughout the week, and I'll just post it whenever it happens and 4:30 in the morning. Shout out to Courtney, because you made a great intro, and I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and share this with anyone that maybe needs to see it. Alright, that's it. Strictly Sam. I'm out. Bye.